Welcome everyone. Today we have with us Dharmender Kapoor, CEO and MD of Birlasoft. Welcome Dharmender.
Thank you, Sunil.
Yeah.
Good to meet
S-
you.
Yeah. So I guess I'll get down straight to it. The pandemic has been here for more than 1.5 years, and a lot of changes have taken place. But now I'm seeing that business operations are stabilizing, and all the companies are looking at the long term. Maybe you can begin with that, as in what changes have become permanent with, say, the way your employees work, that work from anywhere culture, the way your delivery centers and offices operate, and the way you deal with your clients. So if you could begin with that, then we can move on.
Definitely, Sunil. It definitely feels very good that things are becoming normal, and I do get to office now almost every day, and same is true with my leadership team. But it is very interesting time because it is still that most of the team continues to work from home because the challenge is not fully over. Not everyone is double vaccinated. At the same time, I truly believe that the working model is changing. We have discussed and heard a lot about hybrid working model. That is one term calling as a hybrid working model, but what it would mean in creating the business model for the new world will emerge over a period of time. I have had, for example, almost 10 discussions in the last 14 days with my leadership team in various locations by going there physically and meeting them. Because the challenge is that if the attrition is very high right now, there are significant amount of people who are joining new. And the relationship between them and you cannot be just the salary slip that goes at the end of the month. It has to be much, much more than that. And we need to continue to retain them with the value that we generate in their career rather than thinking that we are only paying them and that may be good enough for them to come back to office. At the same time, I have been really looking at defining the new model because you cannot grow while sitting at home. Eventually you will have to step out. Now, whether it is working from the office or working from the other locations, but if the careers of the people have to be taken care, if somebody is interested in growing in their career, they will have to step out and go and meet people, because at the end of it, that is going to really define how the personality of an individual is going to develop. Because we hire people right from the college to the people who are very, very senior in the organization. When we are looking at the bottom of the pyramid where the freshers are joining, they still need to understand what the work culture is. They still need to understand what personality development would they need when they're working in a services organization. How do they interact with the client? How do they manage the escalation? And what does it mean to be a dependable partner to our customers? So I think those are some of the things, messages that we are trying to inculcate in our team so that we can get the right people back in the office. But then we also give the flexibility to most people that if it allows them to work from home or from wherever due to the nature of the work, then we provide that flexibility also. So we need to have a good balance between what can be done being in the office and what can be done from a faraway location, because that also gives us an opportunity that we can hire people from anywhere and really engage with them. But when it comes to R&D, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to differentiation, defining the new offering, defining the new solutions, it is always good to be in the room brainstorming with each other and arriving at the solution.
I liked what you said about balance, because we also hear a lot of views. There are some who said work from home should be permanent. There are some says everybody should come to office. So I
Yeah,
guess both are not practical. You talked of a balance. So I think balance is probably the way we have to go forward. Yeah.
absolutely. This work from home, uh, or if I don't want to call it work from home, this new model is going to stay forever. Our
Yeah.
clients have been outsourcing their work to us, and we have been going and convincing them that it is okay to outsource your work. I think we need to do that with ourselves also, that it is okay to outsource our work to people who are working from home.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So then, that was about the working culture and the way people are working. Then, a lot of words we used to hear, and they're happening now, like digital transformation. It is a must. Everything has to be digital transformed. Infrastructure upgrades, they are also happening, and even cloud services.
Absolutely.
The cloud services, it's no longer a question of if, but when. So
Correct.
all these changes, how do you view them and how have you adopted to all these changes?
Correct. No, I went to meet some of my CIOs. One over the video conferencing that I did over 1.5 years. But then I met them also in the month of August. I was in US for about 15 days. Then in September, I was in Europe for about 15 days, so that I can really meet my clients also and determine how things are moving. But during pandemic, I asked very simple question to some of my clients, that what you would have done differently if you knew you are going to hit pandemic 1 year down the line. What are the regrets that you have today? And those are the one which will become the buying when go out of the pandemic. And they said that I wish I had moved to the cloud. I wish I had opened my online channels. I wish I was directly connected with my consumer so that I can really determine what do they need. Okay. I wish I could have taken care of cyber security. Okay. So these were some of the regrets that they talked about. When you talk about that, yes, it is not question about if, it is a question about when. I believe a lot of people are thinking that if I not moved to the cloud and I not adopted digital, I'm already late. Because at the end, today it is not what was 30 or 40 years back or even 20 years back. The speed of change is significant, and the amount of digitalization that has happened in the last 1 year, it did not happen in the last 7 or 8 years. And there are so many examples that have come up. Clients are ready to take the risk. They are ready to experiment the new technologies. And we also need to step up and provide the upskilling of our employees so that they can go and really provide those services. So from that perspective, I think it is a time of hyper digitalization that we are seeing. It is a time where we are seeing that, and it is my opinion, that people are moving from just using the digital technology to really expecting the value from using digital technologies. Because it is one thing to be on the cloud, but what if it is my mess on my computer or my mess on cloud? Okay, but once I am on the cloud, what does it mean for my organization? Am I able to break the boundaries of my organization? Earlier, the businesses said, when I am having and defining my strategy, I need to decide what are the barriers that I keep for the competition. But today, digital technology is all about really breaking those barriers. How do I very quickly break those barriers and connect with the outer world is what is all digitalization all about. It is not about really using technologies, it is about the real business value that we need to get out of digital. And I think that is the shift in thinking that is happening for most of the organizations. And I believe that it is going to stay for long because it is not an easy shift. It is one thing to use technology. It is very complex to change your business model, and most of the companies will eventually have to change their business model because they will have to look at how do we sell the product, how do they sell their products by a service or by usage rather than asking for the money of their products in the beginning when the customer comes to buy the product. So the whole model will be shifted in the next couple of years.
Yeah. So I guess hyper digitalization is also another word which is not used that often, but it is also there. Like,
Absolutely.
technological acceleration, tech
Correct.
acceleration. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how soon do you think these changes will come? Because like I was talking to someone, will it happen by 2030? So he told me don't talk in years, talk in terms of quarters. Things are changing so
Correct.
fast. So
Correct.
how fast do you think we will be able to adopt? India will be able
No,
to adopt to all
absolutely.
this.
And that's the right expectation, that let us start talking in the quarters, because imagine that how many businesses have folded their shop during the pandemic. And these are big businesses, okay, where they could not have the online channel and they used to sell only through the stores, and stores were all shut. And when things started to open up, it was the online channel. They were very, very quick in getting back to their consumers and started providing the services at their home also. So now it is another thing that I'm opening a shop and consumer will come to my shop or to my store. Now it is that I need to know where my customer is and I need to reach out to them. So that is the difference that has happened in the business model. And why it is very urgent for them is that it is a matter of survival. It is not about the differentiation anymore. It is not about the innovation anymore. It is about the survival. And when it is a matter of survival, you really go and put everything into it because that is the only way you will be able to really find your place in the market in the future. So that is the reason that I am using this word that hyper digitalization, that it is forcing people to look at it in an urgent manner rather than thinking that this is an important and at some point of time we'll take a decision.
So I'll just like to like connect one thing to this. Another thing is, BCP, business, continuity. So I'm sure that the planning is also changed. And you're right, most of us, we have survived this COVID crisis. But I'm thinking, can we like make these learnings to anything? Because tomorrow it could be a flood in somewhere, it could be an earthquake, it could be any disruption. So the learnings we have taken here and the technological upgrades, could we say that some sort of BCP is in place and now we are ready for future shocks?
Yeah. So let me divide the problem into two. Okay. One is the BCP because of any natural disaster or anything that can happen. But but second is about the cyber security because that has the potential to really disrupt the businesses. So if I look at the first one, which is any natural disaster or what we have seen during the pandemic, okay, everything shutting down. So we need a BCP of that level. I remember that 4th March, I decided in the previous year that 4th March, I decided that we may have to work from home because it looks like that panic is gripping the whole world. I was in US and came back and decided by 20th March, 19th March, most of our people were already working at home. And by 30th, about 98-99% reached to home. Okay. It was difficult because many people had laptop, other people had desktop. And we had to even transport the desktop to their homes and set it up. Okay. So all that was required. But because it was such an urgent thing that everybody really jumped in and made that happen. And if you look at productivity did not drop and it really dropped the myths and broken the myths that people can't work from home. And I'm not talking about only IT business because we were used to work from home, very often. But if you look at the whole set of employees, the whole company is working from home was never seen, and it worked. At the same time, there are other businesses, they also started working from home and they also realized that productivity has not gone down. Now, having said that, that is all about moving people to home and making an environment available to them so that they can contribute and they can be productive. I think that, in my opinion, was an easier problem to solve in the hindsight. It was an easy problem to solve. Okay, the major problem actually has occurred during this time is the impact of cyber security related attacks that are happening. And one thing that I have discussed with my board multiple times, and in every board meeting, I always go in front of them and say that one thing that keeps me awake is the cyber attacks. Because you need to really ensure that you have covered all your gaps in the infrastructure, in the applications, in the cloud, and everywhere so that you continue to protect yourself, you continue to protect your information, you continue to protect your data. And IT companies, IT services companies are far more vulnerable because we provide services to many of our clients, and sometimes we can be seen as a gateway to their environment. And hence, we need to be very, very clear and spending enough investment in ensuring that we have put our house in order from the cybersecurity point of view. So that is one thing I believe is going to be very, very tricky going forward because we had to continue to be at the same step as the cyber attackers are really there because they will continue to identify newer methods in order to really get into your vulnerabilities and attack you. But we had to also be on our toes in order to really continue to address the gaps or the holes that we have in our environment. I think it is going to be a big challenge. While there is a lot of discussion on the cryptocurrency and everything, I have nothing against that. But the usage of that cryptocurrency sometimes to get the ransomware attacks happen, I think that is wrong. And there must be some rules and guidelines and way to govern that. Because if that is not the case, then that means that we are going to be vulnerable. I'm not talking about only the company, the whole industry, but also the countries are vulnerable to the cyber attacks and the issue that may come up. And we need to really look at how do we stop this ransomware somehow through the means of cryptocurrency.
Okay, so that is a very interesting point because I mean the cryptocurrency market is 3 trillion now.
That's
All
right.
the
Yeah,
crypto, I mean, it is amazing. And even as we speak, the parliament is discussing the cryptocurrency bill. So I,
absolutely.
do you think it's hopeful that we will be able to, because I think cryptocurrency main thing is, as you said, is regulation. Hackers should not be able to use it for ransom. But is that practical? Do you think we'll be able to do it?
Uh, I don't know what is the level of flexibility that we want to give it to them. But one thing is very clear that it is about currency. Either we stop calling it as currency and we say that it is also one of the stock,
Okay.
and you go and invest in, at your own risk. But if it is a currency, then how can there be a currency which is speculated in the market? I think that's the way I look at it. And I'm only looking at that aspect of it. I'm sure there are multiple other benefits of having that flexibility also, because it will give birth to many other innovations. So I am all for that. But I believe that the governance is very, very critical, and we need to put that in place as soon as possible. And the countries will have to join hands. The governments will have to join hands in order to really go and address that. Because it is not going to be possible for just one nation to say that I am banning it. Okay, they will have to really join hand, and they will have to create the consortiums of the countries in order to really go and address that.
So also like if you look at the Indian IT services industry, it was born of the Y2K crisis, and it also did so well during the COVID crisis, giving critical support to all its clients. So what is the health of the Indian IT services industry now, and what are the changes that are taking place going forward, IT services and technical services?
No, I believe that every disaster is an opportunity. Okay, so if you look at during the pandemic also, this whole issue was there. What is going to happen to the market? People are not going to ask for the services. And we were actually the essential services. So my view at that point of time was that while there could be an impact on the transformation programs, but the essential services will have to continue to go on. And that is what our clients are also really talking about as to how can we continue to provide those services during that time. So that way, if I look at, we have done well in ensuring that we will be able to provide these services to our clients without any disruption. But now I don't think that we need to continue to live with that feeling that we have helped them. That is over. Whatever you did, you are being paid for that. So that is over. Now need to think about the next transformation that we need to do to our own industry. Because going forward, as the business model for my clients change, as they go through the hyper digitalization, we will have to look at how do I apply digital to myself? How do I improve my own talent supply chain? How do I reduce the cycle time to bring people on board and make them productive on certain technologies? Okay. How do I really automate as much of the work that is repetitive in nature so that now I look at the next level of value through which I will get paid rather than getting paid what I have been paid traditionally for those services. So we will also have to relook at our own offerings, our own technologies, and our own contributions to the clients in order to continue to gain the respect that we are ahead of the curve all the time.
Yeah. So you talked of very important about automation. So are we ready for automation and Industry 4.0, and how will that change the way you operate at least?
No,
If
absolutely, we are, because there are a significant amount of changes that we have done for our client environment as well as for ourselves. One is doing the automation for ourselves, but really going for our clients. whether it is looking at the IoT, looking at the connected devices, looking at how do we go and digitalize their supply chain, how do we look at the asset heavy industries and manage their assets digitally rather than having people on the off sites to manage those assets or track those assets. So I think there are numerous examples where we have the case studies where we have gone in front of the customer and said that this is how we can make the difference. It is industry 4.0 related use cases is one thing, but now this whole thing is really spanning into multiple other industries also, whether it is oil and gas industry or it is in the banking and financial services or heavy industries. Everywhere, if you look at that, every single industry is planning to look at how do they reduce their dependence on people. Because what pandemic has taught is that how should we continue to work if this pandemic is going to stretch for very long. And that means that we need to reduce dependence on people. And every single process, every single value chain, every single automation is being seen from that lens as to how can we reduce the time to market and how do I reduce dependence on people. And hence, the IT companies also will have to go to their customer and sell time to market rather than continue to sell the capability and the skills that we have and we put in front of them.
Yeah. So you talked of IoT devices. There are already more IoT devices than people, and we are,
Absolutely.
adding tens of billions every few years. But again, I was thinking of one of your common themes, cybersecurity. It is very important. I mean, I hope like the industry will wake up because we have been getting feedback, but still many enterprises do not pay that much attention to cybersecurity.
Correct. Many of the company, I mean, you continue to see that many of the companies that we hear about are getting attacked.
Right.
And my view is that every company is getting attacked every hour.
Right.
It is only a matter of that when people are trying to break in your house and they are trying it from various doors and various windows and walls, and they are only looking at what is the weaker point where they can really break in very, very easily. So it is a matter of time that they are able to identify that. But before they identify, are we really looking at our own weaknesses in our infrastructure and in our environment and continue to plug that weakness? I think that is something that we need to continue to do. And even if somebody breaks in, how do you protect the valuables that are there in your home or in your company, and which is data? So even if somebody breaks in, have you archived your data? Have you taken care of the data that even if the data goes, nobody can really read that data because you have archived it. It is invaluable for them. So all those aspects one has to continue to look at. And I would again say here that many of the countries will have to join hands in order to really prevent these attacks because it can attack anyone. And now the attack is not only in the computer, because we are going through the hyper digitalization, the entire value chain can get impacted. And let's say there is a truck that is moving on the road and it has to reach to a particular point at some place. And now when the trucks are very, very well connected, now is that truck safe from the cyber attack or not? We need to get to that level. Is my car safe enough from the cyber attack or not? Because every car is now a connected car. So if that is going to happen, then we need to really look at that when we are introducing more and more IoT devices, every single IoT device is a vulnerable item. And we need to look at before implementing any such solution that have you taken care of cyber security or not.
So I think we've covered like quite a whole gamut of issues. So I think I'll just like end it up with a roundup, like a question. So what would be some of your long-term global trend predictions for the 2020s in the domains that you work in? And what about the India scene?
Yeah. So let me say that there are three irreversibles that are going to happen. The first is the hyper digitalization. Everything is going to become digital. There is no looking back. Okay, we can probably say that the term I will use, which you said, that it is not about if, it is about when. But now it is also about not years but about quarters. That that how quickly that will be done, and the businesses will have to wake up. Even a single shop that I see in the neighborhood, that is also going to get impacted by the whole digitalization wave. So it is one thing which is going to impact every single individual. So that is an irreversible that is there. Second irreversible is the artificial intelligence and data will be king. More and more data you have, better and better decisions you can take, and you have more and more capability to implement artificial intelligence to remove the repeatable tasks. So the tasks which are repeatable and also based on the knowledge that can be documented, I think those jobs, those roles, those industries are going to get disrupted. And I'm including the lawyers and the doctors and of all that kind, because it is an industry which is based on the knowledge, and artificial intelligence can very much work on the data that is available and can help you take much quicker and better decisions also. So AI and data is also going to be very, very disruptive going forward, and there is no looking back. Things are only going to move forward there. And third irreversible is this whole new working model. So we can resist it, but I don't think we can avoid it. It is going to happen, and we need to start preparing our HR policies. We need to start preparing ourselves in that direction rather than thinking that the whole thing is going to get back to the normal. If we think that was normal, what was 2 years back, it is not going to come back to that place. So it is going to change. So we need to understand how to deal with people, how to deal with talent, how to manage the talent better, how to quickly develop and upskill their skills, how do you go to the client and have the newer way of method or newer method of working so that you can engage with them and agree with them with those methods also. So I think all that is going to change, and we need to become far more global. If in year 2003 that book was written that the world is flat, I'm not sure during that time whether it was flat or not, but today I think it is getting much, much flatter. And I don't think that it is going to go back to where it was maybe 5 years back. So these are the irreversibles that are there. But if I look at the trends, I think trends are going to emerge from these irreversibles also. And I think that is what we should continue to look forward to, that be it cybersecurity, be it IoT, be it digital, we need to ensure that how we are getting prepared for the hyper digitalization in every single business, because things will change for all of us.
So, I mean, thank you for that. I think we are living in very exciting times. It's on a dawn of a new era from the point of view of technology. So, I look forward to hearing more of what you do in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And thank you
Definitely.
for those, yeah, thank you for those detailed and comprehensive explanations and answers. So let's hope like India can go to the next level now. We get out of
Absolutely.
this
It will
pandemic.
go there. Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you, Sunil. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.